A lot of people were shocked and surprised that Nicki Minaj appeared on Turning Point for an interview, but to me, it makes perfect sense, at least for her. I'm not surprised by this at all. People like Nicki often act based on their feelings and ego rather than logic, and they tend to avoid accountability because they struggle to handle it. The Turning Point platform is ideal for her to voice her grievances. But for Nicki, this isn't about politics. She doesn't seem concerned with Donald Trump or conservatism. Instead, she's focused on who provides her with validation and who protects her from social accountability. Throughout the interview, she shares her feelings about the party and Trump rather than engaging in discussions about political issues or policies. People sometimes act in ways that don't make logical sense, y'all, and I know this is hard to understand. But in this instance, Nicki doesn't need this platform for her career. She is already very successful and wealthy, so financial gain isn't a motivating factor here. So she basically expresses a sense of persecution in the interview, which is likely why she chose this platform. Despite some assumptions regarding financial issues or her husband's legal troubles, those are not the underlying reasons. It's more about her ego and unresolved struggles. While I don't diagnose individuals, I try to avoid that since I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. I can perceive certain behaviors when I see them. So I'm not going to label anything, but if you're inclined to read between the lines, you can. So let's dive into the details. Okay, this section is really revealing, not for what it says about politics, but what it shows about how Nicki is relating to Trump emotionally.
So, with regard to the current administration, what has been maybe the biggest surprise for you, or something that you just really has been put on your heart that you've learned about our president and our vice president?
Well, I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope.
When Nicki says she has the utmost respect and admiration for Trump, notice what immediately follows. She doesn't cite policy, governance, decisions, ideology, or outcomes. Instead, she talks about hope, beating the bad guys, integrity, resilience, being lied on, surviving public humiliation, coming back from low points, being from Queens. It has nothing to do with political alignment.
That there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win, and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never gonna come back from it. But you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly. Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny. Until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on, you'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And it's just not fair.
It's all emotional identification. She talks about Trump as a symbol, not a leader. So she isn't responding to Trump the president. She's responding to Trump the survivor, Trump the outsider, the man who wasn't defeated, the person who feels personally attacked. In other words, she's projecting her own experiences onto him. The tale is what he's shown me personally. She doesn't talk about civic admiration. It's her own personal mirroring. Beating the bad guys. Who are they? She never defines them. So her vagueness is important. Bad guys here function as critics, media, people who question her, people who hold her accountable, people who don't validate her narrative. It's all grievance language, not political language.
But this administration is full of people with heart and soul. And they make me proud of them. Our vice president, he makes me, well, I love both of them. But they're both powerful men, smart, strong, all of that. But both of them have a very uncanny ability to be someone that you relate to.
She says constantly being lied on. Again, it's projection. That phrase is doing emotional heavy lifting. She's not talking about verified facts. She's talking about the feeling of being attacked. So that maps directly onto her public controversies. Criticism from black women, backlash around her husband, challenges to her image. So Trump becomes a container for that feeling. Why this lands so cleanly on that platform for Turning Point USA, this framing is perfect because it avoids policy, accountability, grievance, and turns into pure victimhood. It humanizes Trump without scrutiny. And they don't challenge it because they don't need to. She doesn't sound like someone who follows politics closely. She doesn't hold a coherent worldview. She's not ideologically committed. She sounds like someone who found a figure who makes her feel understood and vindicated. It's all ego regulation. So again, this isn't about Trump. It's her appearance is all for validation and grievance. She's talking about survival narratives and being seen as strong instead of accountable. Trump is her mirror, not a political hero. That's why what she says feels emotionally charged, but intellectually it's empty because it's not meant to persuade or explain. It's meant to justify how she feels.